I can't remember a time when I've had such an easy experience reading a book. This book was so enjoyable. I wanted to read it all the time. Not once did I think about my Storygraph streak because I was just reading this book every single day without having to like carve out any time for it, because I just found time for it without even thinking about it, because I loved it so much. This is the sequel to The Adventures of Amina, al-Sirafi, The Tapestry of Fate. Loved it. Welcome to Spoiler Talk. I was calling it book club. I feel like Spoiler Talk maybe fits it a bit better because I will be spoiling the book in this video. Not quite yet. I'll do a quick little like spoiler free thing if you're just curious about what I thought of this book, and then you can come back and find out, you know, all the things. The Tapestry of Fate follows our retired ship captain Amina and the rest of the crew of the Marawati as they go find more transgressions. If you don't know what that means and you haven't read the first book, go read the first book. Go to my other video about the Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. It's a great time. I mean, not the video, the book. The book's a great time. The video is actually quite old and I feel dated, but I'm getting better. So yeah, we're on the hunt for more transgressions. I'm thrilled about this whole plot line. I love this idea. When I read The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, I didn't know that it was going to be a planned trilogy. I, for some reason, thought it was a standalone. So really thrilled about where we're going with this. I love the fact that these are kind of contained adventures, because the first book is about one transgression, the second book is about the second technically the third transgression. So I'm really loving the direction we're going in that. I'm kind of sad that it is kind of going to be, from what I've heard, a trilogy. So I could read like 100 of these. I can pretty confidently say if you loved the first book, you should definitely give this sequel a try. I think you're gonna like it. I really liked it. I will say I listened to the first book and I physically read the second book, so I cannot compare exactly my reading experiences with both of them, but I did love reading both of them. So yeah, give it a try. That's your spoiler-free section over. If you haven't read the book, don't keep watching this. Read the book and then come back here and you can hear about all my thoughts. Now it's just us readers, let's talk the book. I loved the opening of this, the fact that we're kind of hunting down a transgression already, and we're sort of getting dropped right into the middle of their second mission together was so fun. I sort of forgot what the crew dynamic was like a little bit, and then getting dropped right back into all of them together, working things out together was so good. I love the shared history that they all have. Like the first thing I highlighted in this book was Dahlia saying, "Everyone knows this is a trap, yes? A couple of you lose your minds when it comes to riches." And then it says, "Tinbu and I had the grace not to glance at each other." And for some reason that was just like the perfect introduction to them all kind of again, and that they're all just kind of, they know each other all so well and they're all kind of fed up with each other, and it's just, I love an established group of people. So often I feel like we get these like books with found families and casts of characters learning each other, and I like that. I do enjoy it, but it's just such a breath of fresh air to have people who have a shared history. And then they get to the end of this mission where they find this area of all these treasures and they have to grab the thing, and they make this big mad dash break for it, and they all make it out by like the skin of their teeth. And then they're all like confessing that they've all stolen something when they weren't supposed to be. Tinbu pulls out a pearl necklace and he gets told off that he like was grabbing for riches when he should have been running for his life. And then Majed like pulls out something else as well, and he's like, "I also stole something." I also adored the beginning bit of getting to see Amina with her kid. I feel like just getting to see Marjana a little bit more and having her be a stowaway with the cat, and then her going over to the next place with them and getting left off, and then all these questions that she has about who she is and why she feels so different, and questioning all of that. It makes the reveal at the end just so horrendous. Like I'm so glad we got to spend so much time with her as a child, because it's gonna be awful in the next book when we see that she's not a child anymore and we've had all of this huge gap of time, and it's going to be so interesting to see what kind of path she ends up taking in those 10 years, because what way is she going to go? Because is she going to go towards her father, or is she going to go towards her mother, or is she going to be maybe more like her grandmother and her uncle, and they like move to the city and she just stays in the house and she's normal and nothing happens? I don't think it's that one. I think it's going to be a mess, and I'm so excited for it. What I would hope to see from the 10-year time skip that they missed would be that Marjana and Jamal have like become a little bit of a team and maybe they're off doing something. I would hope that they didn't spend 10 years looking for Amina. I have an awful feeling that they might be spending 10 years looking for Amina and always coming up with nothing. And kind of wasting 10 years of their lives. Hopefully not. I'm really hoping not. But yeah, God, it's gonna be so interesting. I'm very excited for that. So we had that little like snapshot of adventure, and then we're back to sort of a more domestic life that Amina's been living in her break between transgressions, and Dahlia's in her basement doing like experiments, which I love. And I love Amina's mum just always being annoyed that Dahlia's not coming up and eating with the family because it's not proper. Yeah, I really enjoy that. That feels like a real Irish thing to be annoyed about as well. It's this bit. My mother sucked her teeth in displeasure, sharing a meal while a guest starves in the cellar for shame. I love it. Also, any quotes that I read out loud, I have the ARC copy, so they may not be exact. They're not exactly it. I'm just kind of reading it out for the vibes and the energy, so don't quote me on them. And then we also see like the beginnings of Amina and Dahlia not quite being on the same page about things. Dahlia stole a little bit of that mortar to use in her experiments, which I'm wondering, is that going to like loop back around eventually? Because obviously it didn't in this book. It sort of feels like it was there to like remind us about her like experiments and stuff, and wanting to be remembered for something great and having like a legacy, and that being her work. But is that, I wonder, is that her little piece that she took from the mortar, is that gonna play later on down the line? I hope so. I really hope so. I think my favorite bit in the book is when Amina goes to that whole pirate community place. I just thought it was so good. I love pirates so much. This kind of felt like a place that would exist in like other fantasy books as well. Like, you know, we've got the floating market on like the Darker Shade of Magic books and things like that. I love pirate things. I love criminal little settlements, and it's just so much fun. This whole book was so much fun, but this bit I think has to be my favorite. The whole idea of Amina like rowing through all of the like houseboats and things and having them all like whisper that it's Amina was so good. And I love an infamous character. I think it is my favorite things in books. I love it when a character has a reputation that follows them around, even if it's not like exactly them. And the fact that the barman behind the bar was just one of her many husbands, excellent. I was really happy to see Rushk again. I don't know how to say Rushk. I think it's Rushk. We're going with Rushk, her like demon current husband. So much fun to see him again. I love the way that they describe his like energy that follows him around, and the way he exists as like a magical chaos being in the prickly atmosphere that happens, and people erupting into arguments, and him just sort of like sauntering through. So good. And yeah, just the whole pirate role of it all. Love a pirate. I love the plan of just her announcing herself and that being enough to draw out enough of a distraction to get Dahlia out. Yeah, and I love Dahlia's whole backstory. I don't think I paid enough attention to Dahlia's like backstory in the first book. Again, probably because I listened to it as an audiobook and it was quite a while ago, maybe a year ago. But yeah, I love her whole like thing that she used to be an assassin for this big group, and then they finally caught up with her and they've taken her, and just so good. But my God, was it annoying having Amina not know she was poisoned. What I want to know is, at what point did you figure out that Amina was poisoned? Because I feel like it was instantaneous for me. No, I didn't realise that her dagger had poison on it when it first happened. But the first time that her hand is mentioned, I'm instantly like, oh no, poisoned. Especially because the Dahlia's old like criminal assassin boss man, I can't remember his name, he basically offers sort of a same situation in that, oh, well, we'll take Amina and then I'll poison her, and you, Dahlia, can try and work out the antidote for that. Won't that be fun? But it's basically what he did. He told us what he was going to do. And Amina, I understand that she's busy. I know that she's busy and she had more important things to worry about, but you feel awful and you have weird blistering on your hand, and you're having like all these dizzy spells and hallucinations, and you keep thinking about how awful you feel, and you don't think, hey, maybe the man who's famous for poisoning people that I just pissed off might have poisoned me. But I love this bit of Rushk being like, I was even in talks with a rabbi over the best way to divorce you. And she goes, a rabbi? And he says, yes, did you believe I would stay trapped in our foul marriage pact forever? I pinched my brow. What religion do you think I practice, Rushk? The one in which you were married. Name it, please. he gets a rabbi. So stupid. I love him so much. I hate him. He's a menace, and I will not be defending demon men, literally demon men, but my god, is he funny. He's a step removed. Like, he's not a regular human man. If this was a regular human man acting the way that he did, he would annoy me far more. But because he is kind of a demon who's a little bit removed from the way the world works, I find his nonsense just so funny. I really like him. I hate him, but I really enjoy reading about him, and I love his interactions with her. I love how much the crew hates him. One of the best things about him is that he is this demon. He is ancient, and he's this ancient chaos demon, awful. But the way that Amina's friends talk about him is just so funny, because it's like the way that friends talk about their friend's partner or ex-husband, current husband, but they talk about him like he's an ex-husband. And it's so mundane. The way they complain about him is so mundane that it's really funny, because he's an ancient chaos demon that no one really knows the origin of, and they're like, fucking Roosh, get out of here. And I have a theory that Marjana has inherited some of that luck magic from her dad, because when she's a stowaway on the boat, Amina's like worried about rough waters, and they do take more care. But then it says, though my stress was for naught, the weather remained as exceptionally lovely as it had been when we left Shalala with my daughter hidden aboard. Our fishing nets stayed full, the wind's ideal, the heat a bare caress. I always get confused about, that's the thing. I'm going off track. This book always confuses me, because obviously I'm from a cold island. When the sun is out, it's good. The sun on your skin is good. The warmth is good. You want the warmth. And every time Amina talks about the sun being there, I'm like, oh, great, the sun is there. And she's always like, bad, the sun bad. And I'm like, oh shit, sun bad. Also, I'm saying this thing about Marjana like it's a real theory, when really it's kind of on the page. Even the cook calls her a streak of luck. They see her as a blessing. So, who else is a streak of luck? Demon Dad. And then when Marjana leaves, they have their first case of rough waters, even before they actually enter the weird spinning star nonsense that's happening with the ship. So I think it's interesting. I'm so interested to see what happens with Marjana and how this manifests for her in the coming years. It's going to be so interesting. The stress of sealing and the way that it was written, of them getting shipwrecked onto this mysterious island, was done so well. I am slightly worried about how little Amina tells her companions, not her actual main people, but the wider crew. It really feels like they don't know enough. I don't know. I feel like she maybe doesn't, I don't know. I would maybe want everyone on I know that's not possible. I don't know how many people it takes to run a ship, but I feel bad for the crew members that don't really understand just the level of supernatural stuff that they're going to be dealing with. It does make me feel a little bit bad for them. And I imagine if I was Amina, I would be, also feeling quite guilty about members dying for something that they don't really even know what they're going to go get, The whole stress of the shipwreck was written so well. It was so tense and awful and stressful. Half the time I didn't know really where I was or what was going on, because I don't know much about ships. I don't really know what the things are and what the names are for things. So when things are happening and we're in places and they're telling us the ship bit, I don't know what that is. But it was so good that I wasn't taking time to look it up, because I'm just gonna keep going. And it was really good. The boy dying, who was in I think he was in the nest. This shows I don't know things. Bird's nest, isn't it? Basket. Bird's nest basket at the top. Losing him, and Amina jumping into the water and almost saving him was so good, so tense. Really loved it. I feel like I don't get that feeling often with big things happening and falling apart around it, apart from in maybe Samantha Shannon's writing. I feel gives me a similar feeling of oh my god, what's happening, And then we get to the island, and it was so good. I loved the whole mystery aspect of this book. I thought it was done really well. I love a guess. I love to guess things. I love to theorize when I'm reading, and this book I felt was really perfect for that. I feel we got just enough information to make some educated guesses, but also, because we're getting the interludes, we are getting more information than Amina. So it is quite satisfying to kind of piece together things sort of just before her. And then you're not sort of thinking like, oh, Amina's so stupid. Why isn't she getting this? Because she doesn't have all the information that we have. So it's fun. It's got all the bits that I like to have in guessing, in that I know more than the main character. So I can feel smart because I got there first. And much like I said in the last book, I love the way that magic and mythological things is done in this series. I love how grounded it all feels, because we have the real world that's happening, and then we also have these like pockets and these fables that are existing and weaved through in the same way that they're weaved through our world. And it just feels so believable and grounded that it's just so much fun. Like I'm never like thinking like, oh, that's a stretch, you know? It's always just like, yeah, that could be real. And I love that. I love that aspect of it. And it's just so much fun. It felt similar to the Perrys in the first book, where we're in like a mysterious island and there's like, you know, deals and bargains and don't eat the food and all this sort of stuff. But this one obviously had a very different flavor to it, because it's not a home island, it's a prison island, and we have one person that's sort of ruling over all of it. We have beginning clues of some people wearing these like colorful things, and the one guy who seems kind of normal isn't wearing one. And then Amina gets her first vision of being able to see just like the jungle, and I think, is it like a jaguar or something? And she's just like sees the regular island and she doesn't see the city anymore. And we've been conditioned and trained while reading to interpret the things that Amina sees as being the unseen realm and this like mythological thing. So it was very strange for her to have visions and it to be what turns out to be the true world. So we're kind of flipping that on its head, and yeah, it made for like a really fun like guessing game, I felt like, and piecing it all together. I loved getting all her visions, especially the one where she's up and she's like telling her tale to the people of the island and they're asking her questions about being a sailor, and then she sees that she's in this like ruined space and there's just one guy mumbling to himself in like rags, and it's just so ominous. I really loved it. Dahlia was my favourite person in the last book, so I was really pleased that we kind of had a very strong focus on her. I do miss the other guys. I did miss the rest of the crew when it sort of felt like we were really focusing in on Amina and Dahlia in this one bubble of a place, which now makes sense because then we realised at the end of the book that they were literally in like a bubble of a space and the rest of the crew just couldn't find them. They were just walking through the jungle. But yeah, I missed them. I missed the guys and I missed the banter, especially because Dahlia and Amina their relationship with each other is very different than their relationship with Tinbu and Marjad. All of them together create this really like fun, snippy little like bantery group. But when you take away the guys and we're just left with the woman who poisons people and the pirate captain, it gets, very serious. So that was, I was very pleased to see Rushk when he turned up like about the halfway mark. He was like, oh yes, our comic relief is back. Thank God. But yeah, not him actually. Well, it was him, but then we just never saw him again. I'll get to that. But Dahlia, absolutely thought Dahlia was sleeping with the queen. I don't know about anyone else. And I don't know if they did, like, it's hazy. It's hazy what happened with those two. Maybe just because I'm primed based on some of the books that I read to be straight away just like, those two are together. They're together. And Dahlia is going to be her queen. No, actually, not the case. Dahlia is going to be her host, which I like less. I like far less than them being in love, but whatever. I understand why Dahlia wanted to kind of like save the day and sacrifice herself in the name of everyone else, but it is just annoying. It is annoying when characters do that, and don't consider the guilt that Amina might have over her friend, being trapped somewhere on a prison island as an awful host forever. You didn't think about that really, did you? It fits with her character, but God, does it annoy me. And this whole time I'm worried about Amina being poisoned and her not figuring it out. I'm never really blaming Dahlia for not telling her. I don't know why. Maybe that's a me problem. It never once occurred to me to be like, why isn't Dahlia telling Amina? I was just like, yeah, she's not telling her, that makes sense. But then Amina pointing out that Dahlia basically took away her last chance to say goodbye to her daughter was, yeah, awful. Not on Dahlia's side about that, but that didn't even occur to me. So maybe I would have made the same decision. It didn't even occur to me that Amina could have like gone back home and like not done the transgression mission thing and just said goodbye to her family. But nah, why wouldn't I let her? It's this bit where I thought Dahlia and Lab were in love. That Amina's basically being like, oh, well, maybe Rushk could like seduce her. And Dahlia says, I don't see her falling for him. Why, Dahlia? Why don't you see her falling for the handsome man? Is it because maybe you're more her type? Maybe. But yeah, really like Lab, really like the island and the whole like mythological thing that was happening with it. I still don't fully understand how it works, which makes me feel a bit silly. I didn't really think about it, to be fair. I was spending all my time kind of guessing what was going on. But I still, even after the reveal, don't really know if I arrived at a conclusion about how everything sort of was made. Like, she just spun it in the spindle. You know what it is I don't understand what the block of magic is, and I don't think I really need to understand. I don't think it needs to be explained really, but I'm just curious about the whole, because magic doesn't exist on the island, right? There's like some kind of like block in magic, but Amina still kind of has her magical powers, so is that kind of what it is? Like, I don't really know. I don't know where the magic begins and ends and what is allowed and what isn't allowed, but I guess it doesn't really matter for my enjoyment of the book at all. Like, Rouge can still do things and Amina is still strong, but the Queen can't spindle things. The Queen can make things into reality, but she can't use her powers like she did on Earth. Also, I feel so silly that I did not realise that wasn't Rushk. Like, I can't... It really got me. I don't know. I suppose it's because we didn't know that she could, like, make a whole person. But, yeah, the clue is obviously that Amina doesn't feel that magical connection that she normally feels. She felt it when he first arrived. With all those people, which was so much fun. Love someone being infamous, so really enjoyed the whole other crew turning up and being like, that's the pirate person. So that was really fun for me. That was great. But yeah, so she feels that little bit of connection with Rushk then, and then it goes, she doesn't feel it again. And not once was I like, that might not be him. Yeah, can't believe it. Honestly, I don't know why it didn't occur to me. It shows how well it was weaved together, because when it happened, I was like, oh, of course it's not really him. But yeah, and I didn't even I just, like Amina, I think, I just kind of assumed he was brainwashed, sort of like everyone else, and he was being controlled by the cloth thing. But yeah, that didn't actually line up with what he was saying and how he was acting, and it was all a bit weird, but it was so good. I really love when a character is being like possessed, or especially when it's like, he's not her love interest, okay? But in the context of this, kind of a little bit. He's her husband, I guess, but he's not like fitting the bill in like, I feel like in a plot way, you know? But anyway, I love it when the love interest, husband, man, whoever, is like being swapped out or has been brainwashed or changed. I think it's just like the Hunger Games fan in me that just really loves that, because I think it's fun, like the change of dynamic that happens. So I loved that. It was great. I loved all of the like Rushk thing. Yeah, I should have pieced it together like when they were like fooling around. Didn't piece it together, but neither did she. So it's fine. Also interesting that the thing that the Queen weaved can kind of have its own thoughts and opinions, which it kind of does. Does it make it a thing? I don't know. What makes a thing a thing? What makes a person? I don't know. Independent thoughts? Because Rushk grew fond, not Rushk, fake Rushk, grew fond of Amina and was like, oh, I actually quite like you. So, you know, was striking up a deal or something. Can't exactly remember what happened, but something like that. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, really weird. Makes me also kind of just sad for all the things that she made there. Like that, her son, like the moment I realized that she herself had made her son younger on purpose was just crazy. Again, shows the control that she needs to have over people. She said she made her son a younger version because that's when he was happiest, but she made her son a younger version of himself because that's when he was most impressionable and was most able to like mold and just follow her around and listen to what she had to say, because she didn't want like an independent grown person who has their own opinions. She wanted her son who idolized her and thought that she did no wrong, which fair enough, I get it, but like also, he's not really real, so I don't know. And then just forever being stuck at the age 8 forever. Awful age, I feel like, to be stuck as. Yeah, and what was the dog? What was the dog? Did she make the dog? Because I doubt that the dog was like a thing that occurred on the island, so who was that dog? And where did it come from? Is there a person trapped in that dog? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that dog, because I really actually don't know. Part of me does want to reread this book, and I do feel like I might get the audiobook for it at some point, because I would really like to re-listen to the first one, and then I would probably want to re-listen to the second one, so we'll see. But yeah, I would really like the audiobook version of it. I think it would be a lot of fun. Also, it would help me with some of the pronunciations, because I'm always bad at pronouncing things and knowing how to say things in books, and I felt like the first book was so good for me because I could confidently talk about the characters because I'd listened to it, so I could be like, Marjana, I can pronounce that because I've heard it. But yeah, any of the new characters, don't know how to pronounce their names. You noticed I haven't tried in this video. As for Amina's investigating, kind of okay, but not the best. She's not the best at it. Like, she doesn't get anything done without the other people helping her, you know? Like, maybe I'm not giving her enough credit, but it does feel like everything she's achieved. It feels like Amina didn't save the people from this fate. It sort of feels like the people saved themselves and they just used Amina to do it. And also Dahlia kind of did all her stuff. What did Amina do in this book? Did Amina accomplish anything in this book? I'm not sure. But I love her, so she can do what she wants. Amina accomplished being paranoid and strange and not being able to get anyone on side. That's what Amina accomplished. No, she got the villagers on side. I suppose the thing that Amina did was get all the islanders to like and trust her enough to save them. So yeah, do they do that with everyone who's cast away there? I don't know. But she did do the hair thing. But again, she cut her hair off and threw it in the thing. But the weaving people, the loom people? I don't know what you call them. The people who loom, the loomers, no. Weavers. The weavers. The weavers did it for her and they put it in the specific places. But they did that because they wanted Amina to succeed. So did Amina do it or did they? I suppose it doesn't matter. She got the job done. I then also really loved when Lab brought Amina up to the mountain with the knife and then gave her this sort of trial, which feels very like mythological and something from fables, to like take the knife and like chuck it off the edge and tell her to like go retrieve it for her by sundown. And it's in this nest of griffins and I really liked it. I play a lot of The Witcher, so I'm very experienced with griffin nests. As a monster hunter myself. But what I really loved about this whole section was that, first of all, Amina just being really good and competent and kind of embracing her strength and her power, which was great. But we also get something that I feel like we don't see in as many fantasy books, or at least I don't see in as many fantasy books, in that she has this like realization after the fight on how beautiful they are and how she has killed all of them, and all just for the queen, for no reason, no greater good. There was no reason for basically wiping out this whole family of griffins. Like in my ARC copy it says, "Only now did I realise that they were beautiful and that they had acted in defence of their eggs. 3 broken, seeping fluid. Only 1 egg remained, all that was left of the griffin's presence, senseless slaughter, all to test me at the behest of a despotic queen." And I loved it. And I love this like contrast that it kind of creates as well, because both the queen and Amina are mothers who both would argue that they're protecting their kids. And then we learn that the Queen Lab's kid isn't even her kid. And so all of this like talk of like her kingdom and her people and all this stuff, it's not actually for her child, it's for her. It's for her own legacy. Then the legacy isn't her kid, it's her. She's traveling through hosts and she's going to stay alive forever, and it's not actually for anyone else. But then we've got Amina, who is, you know, wanting to get back to her child and missing her child and thinking about Marjana the whole way through this and worrying about Marjana, which then again makes it so awful when we find out the gap, the time that's happened between. But yeah, I really liked the griffin bit. I thought it was really fun. And the whole thing of turning people into goats and sheep, horrifying, which is again is why I'm really worried about who that dog is. And I hated that it happened to that girl from, I can't remember her name, begins with O, it's not Oren. But the girl who's like, you know, got all the treasures, and she gets turned into this goat. And yeah, the naive part of me did kind of think, once like we defeated Lab and everything like raveled away, that maybe the people would stop being animals again, but sadly not. I think probably the best case scenario for them is that they're not consciously themselves anymore, like turning into the animal is the death of them, and they're not a human trapped in the animal. Yeah, I don't know. And then if they did, you know, get saved, they would have all these memories of being a goat. I don't know what that would do to a person. I can't imagine it would go well. Yeah, there's this D&D show that I watch. It's small tangent incoming. There's this group called the Adventures, and Egbert gets this like mace that when he hits something with it, if he rolls a 6, that person gets changed into something random from the, like, I think it's from the Monster Manual or just from something, one of the books. Anyway, they changed this guy into a seal, and he's like a museum curator. And he gets changed into this seal, and they bring him along with them, and then this seal is just always in the background of all their games. And then one day they talk to the seal. It's like, I love being a seal, don't change me back. But we were thinking that he'd like become, like, we the viewers were kind of under the impression that Seal Gaiman, I think was his name, which now maybe isn't the best. We're under the impression that he is not mentally the museum curator. We're under the impression that he's kind of like a seal now, and he's not. He's just a guy who's a seal, and he spent so long as a seal that he kind of likes being a seal and is kind of almost in the mind space of a seal, but not still a museum curator. But yeah, anyway, so is it something like that with the ghosts? Goats and the sheep? I don't know. And the dog. My God, the dog. I need to talk to the author. I will say my least favourite thing about this book was the interludes. And I loved this book, so saying it's my least favourite thing doesn't mean that I dislike them. I just kind of found them hard to get through, I think, in the beginning. We have this POV shift, both in like actual perspective and the fact that we're now in second person, I think. I think it's second person, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's you, and it's very interesting. And now we know, I like the way that it's linked. And because now we know that it was Dahlia who's then explaining all of this to be transcribed. So I thought that was really interesting. And I confess, it did make me more invested in them now in hindsight, I do feel like I like them more now that I know it was Dahlia recounting this, or at least like helping to create this story. And yeah, interesting. Really interesting, and I like the insight that kind of gives us into Rushk as well, and I feel like we need to know this to now be able to understand what's going to be happening with Amina's daughter, because I think that's all going to link up. But yeah, I liked it. It was harrowing and awful and interesting. I just found it really difficult every time the chapter ended and it was an interlude, because I was just into it. I was into the story so much that every time the interlude happened, I was like, no, it's like an ad break. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was getting an ad. Only initially. Once I started reading them, I'm like into it, and then the interlude ends, and then I'm annoyed that the interludes ended because I wanted to find out more about that. I'm just bad at switching, I think. Yeah, that's maybe a me thing. And then what cemented this book as just being really good for me was just that end bit, because everything's going well. We've defeated the queen, we've got Rushk back, where we've built the boat, and then we've got this like reveal that what Amina thinks has been 2 months has actually been for the crew 8 months, I think. Yeah, 8 months for the crew. So then you think it lulls you into a little bit of false sense of security, because we've been wondering about the passage of time earlier on when Amina notices like the flowers and stuff. So having the crew be like, oh, it's really been 8 months, sort of lulls us, and being like, oh, that's the reveal. Oh my God, it's been 8 months. That's crazy. And then, so Timbu has to break the news to Amina that now that they've made first contact with people again, it's been 10 years. And honestly, I was so shocked. I feel like a book hasn't got me like that since like There Is No District 12. It was so much fun. I forgot how fun those like very like end, like that last sentence is when it's just such a good one. It's so good. It was just perfect, because of course, and it's so good because it makes so much sense. Like, I didn't feel like the rug was pulled out from under me where it's like, haha, it's actually been 10 years and oh, aren't you stupid? Because of course, this is like a weird realm that's happening and time moves differently, and we see that all the artifacts are different and strange, and the dialects that people are speaking are weird. And I think Amina does note that people who are using languages that she recognizes are old, and we assume that those languages are old because of like they've been trapped there for so long. But we're thinking it's our timeline of so long, whereas it might have been even longer. Like, these people could be centuries old, and because of the way that time's been working. And yeah, it's interesting, and I really liked it. And I'm just stressed. I'm stressed about what it means for everyone else, because my God, Marjana has spent 10 years, so she's grown up and is thinking that her mum has been lost at sea, probably assuming that her mum's dead, but then probably not, like, she'll be looking for her, surely. I would hope not, but she would be, wouldn't she? I would. And then all this resentment her brother had towards her, and the fact that they've all probably made their peace with the fact that Amina's probably dead, and she's gonna turn up looking exactly the same as she did when she left, and I don't know how they're gonna take that. Like, is it, like, yeah, okay, they're gonna be relieved, but they might be a bit mad. I'd be a bit mad. It's been 10 years. And you've kind of made your peace with her being dead, and you're like, now she's got that like thing of like, you know, she's died, so you've forgiven her of all of the bad things that she did, and you've gotten over your arguments because, you know, she died at sea, but now she's alive. They're gonna be mad at her again. And then we've got Marjana, who in the beginning of the book was having all these feelings about being different, and it felt like a very important time for Amina to be there and guide her through, possibly, you know, having like a weird mythical being as a dad, which is finally manifesting into something. And what's it manifested into? Has it become something yet or not? Is this something that's been lying dormant in Marjana, or has Marjana become something since we've been gone? I don't know. And I'm so excited for the next book. I cannot wait to find out. I'm more excited about this sequel. Was it a sequel to the sequel? More excited for the third book than I was for the second book. I was excited for the second book, but now I cannot wait. I'm so thrilled. And you know what? And it's just occurred to me, the fact that the Peri who is like closer with Amina, I cannot remember his name. He, when she finally summons him, he turns up and he says something along the lines of it taking so long. And I was thinking it was taking so long because it had taken a couple months and they did that detour. But it took so long, as in it took 10 years. Yeah, that's also, again, why it was so good, because the clues were there. And I just didn't pick up on them. And I should have, because it's a classic thing in like where I'm from's mythology, and that if you go into the fairy realm, you're going to be, you know, time's going to be different. But yeah, really good. Loved this book. Loved it so much. I think that's all I have to say on it. I mean, it's not. I'll probably stop filming, and then later on I'll be like, oh, and this. But yeah, those are all my immediate thoughts after finishing the Tapestry of Fate. Please let me know what you think and what you felt, and what was your favourite bit? Who do you think the dog is? I'll see you the next time I read something that I thought was so good and I'm so obsessed with that I need to talk to people about it. Okay, bye!